Good morning, everyone, and Happy New Year. Welcome to our first service for 2025. As you know, I'm sure you all know who I am, so I'm Shirley. And I'll be your MC for today. We will begin with the ringing of the temple bell, or Kansho, that signifies the beginning of our temple service. It is a deep and sacred ritual steeped in the ancient tradition. Excuse me. It is calling of the people to come together to listen to the Dharma teachings. The temple bell represents gratitude and deep appreciation of the members, friends, and guests of the Windward Buddhist temple. Please sit quietly at your seat. If you're able, please rise for the meditation, followed by the chanting of the Vandana Ti-Sarana by the congregation in Pali and English in the red Jodo Shinshu Service book on page 7. be seated. Today's sutra is verses reaffirming the vows in the red Jodo Shinshu Service book on page 117, 117.
Fail in any way, may I not attain Buddhahood, should I not provide to all for countless kalpas to come, aid in times of suffering, may I not attain Buddhahood, I will reach enlightenment, but unless my Buddha name resounds throughout the universe, may I not attain Buddhahood, I will practice the noble path, wisely, mindfully, free of greed, seek to reach the supreme way, be a guide to one and all. May my power shine great light to illumine and dispel the darkness of the three poisons and save all from suffering. With eyes of wisdom I'll remove the darkness of ignorance. I will close all evil paths, open gates of highest good. When I attain Buddhahood, light will shine throughout all lands, light brighter than sun and moon, outshining all heavenly lights, giving my virtues to all, not forsaking anyone. I will proclaim the Dharma like the roar of a great lion, bowing before all Buddhas, steadfastly gaining virtues, with wisdom fulfilling my vows. I shall be a guide to all, like the wisdom of my teacher. May my wisdom also shine all throughout the universe and illumine one and all. If I shall fulfill these these vows, may all lands tremble with joy. From the heavens, wondrous flowers rain down upon all the lands. Amen.
If you're able, please rise for the recitation Homages in the Jodo Shinshu Service book on page 2. Hard it is to be born into human life. Now we are living it. Difficult it is to hear the teachings of the Blessed One. Now we hear them. If we do not gain emancipation in this present life, we may not be free from ill-faring in the ocean of births and deaths for couples. Let us reverently take refuge in the three treasures.
We
go to the Buddha for guidance. May we always walk in the way that leads to enlightenment. We go to the Dharma for guidance. May we be submerged in the depth of the teachings and gain wisdom as deep as the ocean. We go to the Sangha for guidance. May we all, with one accord, live the life of harmony in the spirit of oneness, free from the bondage of selfishness. Even through myriads of couples, hard it is to hear such excellent and profound teachings. Now we're able to hear and receive them. Let us try to understand the Tathagata's teachings. Please continue to stand for the Gatha, becoming free in the new purple, his new book, on page 30, on this page 30. be seated. Today, of course, our speaker is our own minister, Reverend Soul Kalu.
Let's put our hands together in Kansho. A man's mind may make him a Buddha, or it may make him a beast. Misled by error, one becomes a demon. Enlightened, one becomes a Buddha. Therefore, control your mind and do not let it deviate from the right path. The words of Shakyamuni Buddha, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Good morning, everyone. Aloha and Ohayo gozaimasu. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to all of you, and I hope that so far the year 2025 is off to a good start for most, if not all of us. Unfortunately, we cannot say the same for the whole nation. Already we had terrorist attacks happening in New Orleans, and that incident at the Trump Tower in Las Vegas. Not to mention that incident New Year's Eve when we had a terrible fire somewhere in Honolulu, I believe. Yeah, that was very, very sad. Well, Western or Chinese-style New Year is always a happy occasion for most people, and to greet the New Year. We all say Happy New Year, but in ultimate reality, there is no such thing as a New Year, as the concept of time is a man-made invention. In almost all cultures, celebrating the coming of a new year involves making noise through firecrackers, wishing each other good luck, eating long food items like noodles in the belief that doing so will also result in long lives, which is, of course, a superstition, and not to forget the drinking of alcoholic beverages to make the event even merrier or livelier. We traditionally serve, during the coming of the new year, the well-known Japanese liquor made from rice, and that is, of course, sake, or they call it nihonshu in Japanese language, the wine made from fermented rice. The traditional drink of the Japanese people, from the lowly farmers of the ancient times to the aristocracy, samurai class, and even some monks in the old times, who seem to have no qualms about violating one of the Buddha's basic monastic precepts, that is the taking of intoxicants. Then, as it is now, and in most cultures around the world, the consumption of alcoholic drinks has become part of any social gathering, be it a celebration of a holiday, a birthday, weddings, and so on. In Japan, drinking alcohol often serves as a glue and social lubricant that binds friends, co-workers, and even strangers together in a pub or gathering. It is indeed unimaginable a group of adults celebrating a major event without the consumption of beer, wine, sake, or any other forms of alcoholic drinks. I am sure a lot of men would agree with me that the Super Bowl wouldn't be as much fun to watch without a steady supply of cold beer available, although, of course, that is a subjective thing, really. People can and do enjoy celebrating major events and watching sports on TV without a drop of alcohol involved. From ancient times to the present, historically, alcohol has served many useful functions, such as for medicinal purposes, antiseptics, analgesic functions. It can facilitate relaxation, can provide pharmacological pleasure, and can increase the enjoyment of eating. But, as we also know, alcohol is a double-edged sword. that can also cause a lot of health and social problems when consumed excessively. In my 28 years of experience working as a registered nurse in the hospital, I've seen the effects of alcohol abuse on the body, mind, and family relationships. I have taken care of accident victims, both drivers and passengers, whose bodies were horribly disfigured because of drunken driving. I've taken care of people who develop severe liver problems, patients who become demented due to years of excessive alcohol drinking, and I have seen homeless alcoholics frozen to death in the streets in New Jersey, where I used to work, in the middle of severely cold winters. Some still clutching their half-empty bottles of whiskey. Not to mention broken homes, spousal abuse due to either husband or wife turning violent when intoxicated. So in other words, depending on how it is used, alcohol can bring comfort, relaxation, and some form of pain relief, or it would cause misery, suffering, and death. I have talked about the subject of alcohol so far, but what does it have to do with Buddhism? Shakyamuni Buddha encouraged his disciples to refrain from consuming any kind of intoxicants, including, of course, alcohol and drugs. Intoxicants, which include tobacco and drugs, are thought to be inconsistent with Buddhist beliefs as they distort the mind. Mindfulness is central to Buddhist philosophy. Mindfulness enables the individual to react to emotions and sensations when they arise. Alcohol's effect, depending on the consumer's ability to handle the amount ingested, distorts the mind and makes it impossible to practice right mindfulness. To further explain this point, I'd like to share with you a story that I first learned in one of my sensei's Dharma messages when I was a member of the New York Buddhist temple. Because this was so many years ago, I do not now remember the exact way the story was told. So I will take the liberty of telling my own version and understanding of this story without changing its important message. Okay? There was once a Buddhist monk in ancient China who was a very devout and dedicated to his practice in search of enlightenment. Having spent so many years in an isolated temple, he thought that he had become knowledgeable of the Dharma, and soon felt that there was nothing more to be gained after his many years of studying and training under different Dharma masters of the temple. He asked permission from the headmaster to be allowed to leave and seek further knowledge from other temples and masters in the outside world. His request was granted, and he went on his journey with nothing more than a walking stick and the robe on his back. One day, while walking in the woods, he encountered a friendly stranger, and to his surprise, the stranger knew his name and his accomplishment as a monk. It was a bodhisattva that he met. Now, we all know what the bodhisattva is, yeah? It is a being who is almost enlightened, but he delays his enlightenment in order to save other people. Something similar to the angels in Christianity. Anyway, the bodhisattva told him, "You have decided to leave your temple to seek further knowledge on the way to enlightenment. That is most admirable indeed. You have not been out in the world of ordinary people. There are many obstacles and temptations that can hinder your progress. Are you prepared for that?" asked the bodhisattva, to which the monk replied, "I have conditioned and trained my mind to seek only that which leads to my awakening to the truth. I have no desire for worldly matters." The bodhisattva then said, "Very well then, let's see how strong your resolve is in the face of worldly temptations." He led the monk to a big house in the middle of the forest, a house with 4 rooms. In the first room, there was a pig tied to a post. In the second room, a young, beautiful, and sensuous woman, alluring in appearance. In the third room, there were jars of gold coins and precious stones. In the fourth and last room, on a table, stood a single jug of wine. The Bodhisattva then told the monk, I will let you indulge in just one of these worldly things. Pick just one of the rooms and do whatever pleases you. To test your spiritual maturity, you must select at least one of these indulgences and see how strong you can resist its influence. You may stay here in this house for as long as you like. Then the Bodhisattva disappeared. So the monk looked again into each of the four rooms and deliberated. The first room, he said, well, what will I do with a pig? I've been a vegetarian all my life. I cannot eat meat, and the thought of killing the animal is repulsive to me. The second room, the monk said, the woman in this room is really very attractive, but I have made a vow to be celibate. I cannot indulge in a physical relationship with her. The third room, the monk dismissed the notion of having golds and precious stones very easily, as he is used to a life of having nothing. The fourth room, a jug of wine. Now he has not tasted any kind of alcoholic drink in his life, and as a monk, he is naturally aware of the precept of not imbibing alcoholic drinks. But having so much confidence in his strength, in the strength of his mind and will, he believed the wine to be the least evil of the four temptations in the room. He entered the fourth room and started drinking the wine in small sips. Initially, it was not pleasant tasting, but as the alcohol started to take effect, he found it more and more pleasurable and drank even more. Soon he just lost awareness of what's going on around him and continued to drink. As his intoxication deepened, he began to feel very hungry, and finding no other food in the house, he took a knife from the kitchen and killed the pig in the first room and roasted the meat outside. Next, after filling his stomach, but still under the influence of the wine, he felt a strong urge and entered the second room and indulged in physical love with the attractive woman, after sharing with her the rest of the wine and the jug. Now having tasted the pleasures that were forbidden, he craved for more of the wine. And so he entered the third room and took all the gold and precious stones, intending to buy more alcohol with them. Needless to say, all that he had accomplished in years of dedicated study and training in the temple disappeared in that one decision of choosing the wine. What he had thought was the weakest of the temptations turned out to be the most evil that made him unable to resist the other three. Before I go on, I'd like to emphasize that this Dharma talk is not about going against alcohol consumption. I myself did drink on occasion, I don't know. Maybe, I'm not. But I have avoided alcohol for about 3 years now, since I started going on dialysis treatments. No more. This story that I just told about the monk is not about telling people to avoid drinking, but rather emphasizes the importance of the mind in Buddhism. In the Dhammapada, which is a text of the Buddhist teachings, it states, the mind is the forerunner of all actions. What this means is that Buddhism teaches that many or all of the phenomena that we experience in the world begin with our perception and interpretation of them. The mind determines how we act or react to the many stimuli that our five senses of sight, sound, smell, taste, and feel tell our body. So all these sensations come to us. We see things, we hear things. We make decisions and judgment based on our mind, because the mind is the filter and it determines whether a given situation is pleasant or a source of suffering. In other words, the mind is the guardian that is fed, that filters all that is fed to us by our senses. And the mind also determines how we react to those things that our senses tell us. Because alcohol and other intoxicants have the effect of distorting the mind, it is for this reason that the Buddha included the prohibition of drinking alcohol in his monastic precepts. However, the consumption of alcohol is not a big issue in Jodo Shinshu Buddhism. Though it has an effect on the mind, the drinking of alcohol in Shinshu Buddhism doesn't have that much impact on purifying the mind as in other Buddhist traditions. As Jodo Shinshu Buddhists, we have come to accept our limitations as foolish, unenlightened human beings, and with or without alcohol, we cannot absolutely purify our minds through our own efforts. We acknowledge that our limited human mind is not our true mind, but the diamond-like mind which we receive from Amida Buddha is the true, clear, and pure mind that no amount of alcohol could ever distort or defile. That is the mind of Shinjin. This doesn't mean that we can overindulge in drinking. Absolutely not. Using our bonno or blind passion as an excuse for overdrinking is, well, inexcusable. For alcohol, as I had mentioned earlier, affects not only the mind but the body as well. Overindulgence can lead to severe liver, pancreatic, and nerve problems, and pregnant mothers who drink can cause harm to their unborn baby as well. Alcohol in itself is not the cause of problems. We can place a bottle of the most potent liquor on top of a table, and if we do not do anything with it, nothing will happen. No problems will occur. It is when the person decides to drink in excess, that potent liquor, that the problems arise. So it is the distortion of the human mind that ultimately causes the problems that we conveniently blame alcohol for. Fortunately, not one of my friends that I know and drink with do it in excess. And even if sometimes they go a little over the limit, the most that happens is that they fall asleep on the table or have a terrible hangover the next day. Nobody behaves irrationally or becomes violent after having a few drinks, sometimes a lot. But it is amusing to hear your friends' stories, even their most inner secrets, once the tongue is loosened by alcohol. And the classic beer goggles saying inside the bars, when, after several rounds of drinks and intoxication sets in, the unattractive woman across the room that you once did not even consider giving a second look suddenly becomes a candidate for Miss America. That's true, isn't it? I don't know. If we have to imbibe alcohol, we should know how much we can handle and not go beyond it. I guess we can call that mindful drinking, or is there such a thing? It all comes back to the Buddha's very important teaching of the middle way. To a certain point, drinking alcohol can help smooth friendships, promote relaxation, and temporarily relieves tension. In excess, it causes physical and interpersonal problems. It is important to know one's limit and to stop when that limit is reached. Doing so enables one to understand its effects, and in so knowing, can use alcohol for its beneficial effects and avoid the destructive results of its overuse. The Buddha taught that true happiness is to be found in letting go of attachments. Excessive drinking to the point of causing negative actions and their results is a form of attachment, and for many it is difficult to let go of this attachment. The drinking of alcohol and trying to stay Buddhist is a matter of able to retain control of the mind. It is the mind that should be in control, not the alcohol. One can drink alcohol responsibly and still be spiritual. And by that, I don't mean one can say he is living a spiritual life by overindulging in distilled spirits. A true spiritual person is a person who can see everything in the light of the Dharma, including his own weaknesses and limits, and be able to say without pretense that despite my being who I am with my bonno or my blind passions, Amida Buddha still accepts me. To which I would say to that person, I'll drink to that. Let's conclude with the saying of the Nembutsu. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Reverend Bert. Now, make sure that you all think very carefully now before you make your decisions, okay? Remember what Sensei said. If you're able, please stand for the Gatha, Arigatai, in the praises of the Buddha book, page 14. Page 14. And then continue to stand for the Nembutsu in the Jodo Shinshu Service book on page 135. Page 14. Page 14. Seated. Oh, Nembutsu, sorry.
happiness. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Namo Namo.
Now, please be seated. Sorry about that. We'll have announcements by our president.
Good morning, everyone. Happy New Year. Did you have enough to eat at your New Year's celebration? I gotta start losing weight. Ate too much. Thank you, Reverend Fall, for your message today. Thank you, Shirley, for being the MC. Thank you, Neil, for being our greeter. Cookie for ringing the Kansho. Joy for playing the piano. And of course, Ryan is recording this service today. We do have a guest, Tom. Please welcome Tom. Okay, next Sunday will be our regular family service. Reverend Saul will lead the service and Shirley will be doing the Dharma message. We might play bingo. Cynthia returns from her trip Wednesday, so hopefully she'll be fine and we'll have bingo next week. I know everybody loves bingo. How did you like the new Gatha book? I mean, it's larger and I think it's easier to read. If you'd like to have your own copy of the book, you can purchase it from the temple at $15 a copy. If you're interested, please see me. Today's activity after refreshments, our intergenerational activity, is called Bleeding Tissue Art. Most of you saw it last week using tissue paper that, when wet, bleeds, so the colors from the tissue will get onto the paper and you create your own art. It'll be interesting. Today is the first Sunday, which means it's also birthday Sunday. So all those who celebrate birthdays in the month of January, please come up. Anyone? Don't be shy. Wow, no one. Okay. Okay, as part of today's refreshment, we'll be serving zenzai. Zenzai is a red bean soup eaten with mochi and is typically served around New Year's. It's a manner of celebrating, I guess, the New Year. But otherwise, it's just something good to eat. Are there any other announcements? All right, let's do words of thanksgiving. It'll be up on the screen. We are truly grateful for this wonderful food, a gift of life. May we share its benefits with all beings. As we partake of this food, let us remember Amida Buddha's compassion, which surrounds all people and all forms of life. Namo Amida Butsu. Itadakimasu. Thank you.